Hey guys, we are live. Welcome to TVC. Tonight we are going to be kicking it road school, educating your kids on the road with exploring the local life. And let me just raise myself. I've got my Exploring the Local Life t-shirt on right now. I'm super excited. So I have been a fan of theirs for a while, but I'll go into that in a minute. Hey guys, Johnny Lightning's here. Evening from Michigan, everyone. Barbara from Where the Roads May Go, coming at you from the Pacific Northwest. She said, poor Exploring the Local Life has snow. Yeah, they're in Colorado. Heidi's here from Mississippi. Awesome. They're done with their Tiffin Service Center. And Tara, hello from Florida. Hello from Florida as well. I am super excited for tonight, but first let's get into just a couple updates. Oh, Pam's here from Dallas. Ari and Jesse are here too. Great. And as you guys learned last week, they're in Michigan. So big update, Full-Time Freedom Week. Oh my gosh. So the organizers of Full-Time Freedom Week, we got together a couple days ago, and we decided that we were going to do it again in 2019. So we just sent out an email. If you were a part of that event, like the screen says, it's the largest online event for RVers. And if you were a part of that event, if you signed up last year, then you know you got an email a couple hours ago from us talking about how we're going to go back and do it again. And we're super excited. So I'm excited. If you don't know about that event, check it out at fulltimefreedomweek.com. We're bringing it back. I'm super stoked. Also, I have my air conditioning on. You guys let me know if that's bothering you. It's usually pretty loud, but I have my mic in. So just let me know if that bothers you. I can turn it off. Update number 2. I've been talking about this for weeks. Oh my gosh, the Boss Free Virtual Summit is here. As you guys know, if you're on my email list, I'm a guest speaker. I'm super excited. There are huge names. This is all about how to help people become boss free, how to, freelance or start their own business, things like that. I'm just super excited. And if you haven't signed up yet, please sign up. Jeff Brown is the organizer. He's been following me online. We've been talking online for a couple months, and it would just mean the world to me to get some people from the virtual campground signed up. So if you haven't signed up yet, the link is in the video description, and my talk goes live on Friday morning. Heidi says she signed up. I know I just took a call with a lady named Julie. She said she signed up and she watched 2 interviews today, and she said she was blown away by the content. And the last update, the virtual campground is expanding. This looks like a stock photo of just some family posing for Christmas or something. But this is actually a picture of my brother and my sister-in-law with their family. And I've recently hired them to basically be my virtual assistants. So they are you might be seeing them in the virtual campground Facebook page or the other Facebook group I run, RV Renovations. So if you see them, if you see a name Alex Cole or Amber Cole, that's my brother and my sister-in-law. I hired them to help me with the day-to-day stuff because virtual campground is growing really big and I needed help. And one of the main reasons I started, hang on, let me get this off the screen. It's like big. There. One of the reasons I started the virtual campground was not only to travel, not only to, support my family's travels, but was also to help my family. I grew up really poor, and my mom is still really poor. My brother works at a factory. His wife is like an admin assistant for some healthcare company or something like that. And it's always been a dream for me to help my brother and to help my family, elevate their status just like I'm trying to do for myself. So I knew once we started having revenue, from the Fix It Yourself course and other things, that I wanted to hire someone from my family to come in. So I'm just super excited for them to be a part of the virtual campground. And Heidi says, welcome Alex and Cole. Actually, his name is Alex Cole. My maiden name, I am originally Liz Cole. That's someone actually called me and asked for Liz Cole today, and I was like, who's that? But Alex Cole is my brother. You'll be seeing him around the Facebook groups and the Facebook page. He's going to be helping me out a lot, as well as his wife. So I just wanted to share that because I'm super excited to bring them on and grow the virtual campground. Not only my campground family, you guys, but my actual family as well. So anyway, let's get into it. Ooh, lots of pictures here. Let me scoot over. Our guests tonight are Robert and Jessica of Exploring the Local Life. I tried really, really hard to find a picture of me and Robert. We actually have met 2 times this year, but apparently we don't have any pictures together. Or we can't find them. I don't know. I could have sworn we took at least one this winter. But anyway, Exploring the Local Life and the virtual campground have a really long history together. Jessica, who basically she does a lot for Exploring the Local Life, and I just really bonded with her when I first started the virtual campground. And they were a part of Tales from the Black Tank. You can see this picture over here. That's Robert with his little honey wagon, and he wrote a story for me for that. In this top corner over here, that's a picture of some really good friends. Jessica and I used to be in a mastermind together with these other ladies, and that's a picture of us at the RV Entrepreneur Summit last year, back in 2018. And then this is a really funny picture. It's me and Jessica doing a Facebook Live together. I think it must have been right after I got this rig, because I'm a little chunkier and it's the same RV. So it must have been about a year and a half ago. And we were basically just talking about RV horror stories. And I remember we were both so nervous to be going live on Facebook together with internet issues and kids and everything. But as you can see, we were having a good time. So, yeah, Exploring the Local Life and virtual campground, me and Jessica, we've done a ton of projects together, and I'm just super excited to bring them on. Finally, I've been waiting to bring them on since we started. So, welcome, guys. Jessica and Robert, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi.
We're doing great.
And what's the cat's name?
This is Tiki. It's actually Kitty Carey, but somewhere along the line, it became Tiki. I don't really know.
It just happened, yeah.
It
Exactly.
just happened, right?
Kitty Carey turned into Tiki. Well, what my cat's name, when I had a cat as a kid, her name was Cleopatra, and we just called her Kiki. I think it's just a cat thing, right? Tiki, Kiki,
Yeah.
it's just here, Kiki, Kiki, Tiki. You know, it's just easy to say. Anyway, welcome. I've explained a little bit about our history together, so why don't you share maybe a brief intro to your RV life for us?
Sure.
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we started RVing back in October of 2015. We had like 1 month prep. It was totally, we weren't prepared for it. We just jumped in and went for it. And 3.5 years later, we're still loving the life. And I don't know, it keeps changing and evolving. We never really know like what's going on. Like we don't even know what we're doing the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah, so we pretty much like to roll with it in the combination of staying in campgrounds and maybe boondocking here and there, and state parks, regular RV parks. So we mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to, that was my second thing I have actually written down. You know, you guys have kind of evolved, just like Ed and I feel like, you know, you started out one way, you traveled, then you traveled this way, and now, you know, you're doing something else. So tell us what you are doing right now.
Well, we do have an anchor, and that's my job. And for 3 years, my job was based in Atlanta area. And we did the staying in one spot for 3 months and positioning over to another campground and staying there for a month. Then about 2 years ago, I took 6 months off of work on a sabbatical, and we went from Florida to Maine over a period of 6 months. And we had great adventure there. And then last year was a little bit different. There was a period of 7 months where Jessica and the kids, we positioned the travel trailer to Florida. And then I would commute back and forth to work every 4 days. and then we'd position to Alabama, and then we'd position to Texas, and then we'd be there for a month, and I'm flying back and forth out of Dallas or Amarillo every 4 days, and we made it as far west as Arizona and Colorado, and did it all the way back. So that was a big. It was stressful, but it was a lot of fun too, because we got to go places that we wouldn't have been able to go in the same amount of time while I still had an anchor job.
Yeah.
Well, my anchor job is Denver.
Okay, yeah. I remember you guys, when Jessica told me you were flying back and forth. I think she was in Texas or Arizona at the time or something like that. And I was like, wait, what? But what I got out of that was that, you were really dedicated to living the life you wanted to live no matter what. And that's what I just love about you guys, and what I love about following you on Facebook and YouTube and email is that you're always so willing and honest with your audience, and also, you show that it's not necessarily easy. You have to put in effort. Maybe you have to do something that other people normally wouldn't do, but you're always so intentional and, willing to go the extra mile for what you want to do with your life, no matter what.
Yeah, we definitely make it work and fit into whatever stuff we have to do. There's certain things that absolutely we have to get done that we don't always want to do, but it's just life, but we make sure that we get to live out the parts that we do want around all that other stuff.
Right, yeah, right now, Ed wanted to go to school. I'm sure everybody knows this story by now. He found full-time travel really stressful. It just wasn't the right time to be building 2 businesses and learning how to travel full-time. That's a ton of work. And so, we did the same thing. Okay, we're going to stay in this one place. But me, I feel like I'm a lot like Jessica. I have a gypsy soul. I don't know what it is. It's just whenever an opportunity to travel comes up, I don't even think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that, and then I get halfway through. I'm like, well, maybe I was a little tired from that. But, yeah, so, I've been traveling in my car, in a tent, whatever, with Chelsea since we got here. And I think, I traveled all of March, and I said, oh, I'm just going to relax for a couple months. I think I have 4 or 5 weeks already laid out for the summer where I'll be gone.
Exactly. Here, Jessica wants to go out to Utah, and I want her to go out to Utah. We want to go to Moab, go out west. She just needs to have a solution for me as to where I'm going to sleep when I'm back at work in Denver.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated now, because when he had a job in the Atlanta area, he had a friend that had an apartment, so he could just crash there. Here, not really. So we'd either have to have an apartment for a room for him or something. I don't know. We haven't ironed any of that out, and we're still, we've only been here 2 months, so we're still figuring out his schedule and what the heck is with the weather.
Yes.
We have no idea. We're totally just easing into this thing. So
yeah, I understand that. That's why when I was traveling in that tent, it was because I couldn't take the RV. Ed had nowhere to stay, right? He didn't know anyone in the area. I really didn't want to travel with the motorhome and the Toad and, all by myself. So, Jessica, tents are cool enough. So, you might, they make a lot of amenities nowadays.
Do it anymore.
I can't do it anymore. I can't do a tent. Oh, now if we get a truck camper or something, I could do that, or a tent on top of the truck. I'll do that, but not
really?
I thought you knew this.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to get one of those too.
Yeah, but I'm not sleeping in a tent on the ground. I can't do it anymore.
I've started calculations.
Hey, well, don't sleep on the ground. They make air mattresses.
It's that vinyl. There's a little nylon wall.
I get it. She's a grown-ass woman.
And we used to tent camp all the time.
Okay. That makes sense.
For years.
I've upgraded to the trailer. I'm not downgrading yet again. I get that.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's so funny. Somebody wants to know, Robert, what is your anchor job? What do you do?
Oh, I'm in the airline industry, and I'm an aircraft dispatcher. We are certificated airmen like a pilot, and we actually get the same privileges on other airlines as pilots do. So if I have to go from Denver to Seattle on Frontier or another airline, I present my credentials at the gate, and if there's a space open in the front of the airplane with the pilots, I can go ahead and ride with them. So that really helped a lot last year, because I could fly basically for free, except those times when I really, really had to make sure that I got back to work. And then we would buy a ticket. So we only had to buy, I think, 3 tickets the whole time.
Wow, that's amazing. That makes a lot more sense why you could afford so much travel. Otherwise, It's like, well, I don't know the logistics. Yeah, that's so funny. The Trekker said Robert will be excusing himself from the video now as he goes to research buying truck tents and campers.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, she sneezes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a sneeze? Oh my gosh, that was the cutest thing I've ever heard, you guys. We need to bring Tiki onto the show next week. That was the cutest thing.
Yeah, she wants to go.
That was cute. Okay, yeah, Heidi says now it makes sense how he gets to his job. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're not just like financially independently wealthy, able to fly whenever type of, no. It's
Getting
totally
there.
a
Getting
perk of
there.
the job.
All right, so the real topic of discussion tonight is RVing with kids. That's something I feel like I've bonded with you guys about because you're so willing and open to talk about it with me when I'm like, what the heck is going on? Your kids are a little older than Chelsea, so I feel like you've been there, done that. So tell us about your kids, how old they are, how old they were when you started RVing.
Sure. So we've got Daniel and Nadia. Daniel's our oldest. He's 10 and Nadia is 7. And we started RVing 3.5 years ago. So they were 7 and 4. We're like, it's not math. Yeah. And, you know, we were already home with them. I was already home with them. So that aspect didn't really change as far as
Planning on homeschooling.
And they already would see me working from home. Like I would still work around them. So that aspect didn't really change. So the transition, that part of the transition wasn't really that crazy or difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you moved into the small space, what was that like?
The actual moving and being in close proximity wasn't that big of a change because we actually were co-sleeping. We had all of the mattresses and everything like in one room. We all slept together. We all ate all of our meals together. We
always migrated around the house together.
We're like a little cluster.
I mean, the kids each had their own bedroom, and we had a family room. But either everybody was in the den together, or in the kitchen together, or in the master bedroom together. It was a pod moving inside the house.
Yeah, I feel at this RV park we're at, we have a lot of ducks, and a couple months ago, the ducks had a lot of babies, and yeah, you just see. That's what I'm picturing right now. It's super cute.
Yeah, that was pretty much the way that it was. I think the hardest thing was actually when we did move into the RV, even though we were used to being all together, we couldn't co-sleep anymore. So that was a little bit different because we just had like a queen bed in the master, and the bunks were full size. So what would happen initially was I would sleep with Nadia downstairs in her bunk, and Robert would sleep with Daniel upstairs
in his bunk.
And
then we'd extricate ourselves.
Sometimes try to get back to the other bed to be cuddle together. But I think that was like the hardest transition, really, that part.
Okay, that's so funny because Chelsea and I, we never co-slept. Ed was in Afghanistan from when Chelsea was 6 months to 18 months, and I was always afraid when he got back, he would feel like lost in the family. So I never slept with her because I knew how hard it would be and how hard it would be for him to, because he was already, feeling very left out, where's my place in this family? So I never co-slept with her. And when we got the fifth wheel, she had her own space. And then we got this RV. And, as you can see, this is her bedroom up here, right? And we were afraid she was going to fall out until we found a solution. Ed was like, oh, well, she can just sleep with us for a few days until I can, rig something up. And I was like, I don't know. She can sleep right here on the dinette. If she falls, it's not going to be a big deal. And he's like, no, she can sleep with us. Well, she ended up sleeping with us for months. And he was like, I need this kid out of my bed, because at this point she's 3 years old. She's much bigger. Like Jessica said, a queen size is not really a queen size. It's just becoming a lot. My husband, if you've never seen him, he's 6'5". He's like 160, 170, right? So it's not even like the average people sleeping in the bed. And of course, she's never slept with us, so she is used to, her own space. She's not used to cuddling or anything. And it was just a disaster. So he finally built something, and then after I think it actually broke. The ladder broke, and then we took it down, and she's like a dead sleeper, so she doesn't roll. She's never fallen out or anything like that. But it's funny, we had the opposite problem. When we moved into the RV, we started co-sleeping for some reason, and it was just terrible. But even now, it's so weird. Like, we cannot get it where, we read our books before bed, of course, and usually, like one person just falls asleep, and the other person has to, hey, are you coming to bed?
Yeah.
Are you coming to bed? Because you kind of wait up for them, you might want to talk about the day, but I'm rambling.
Yeah, we still snuggle with Nadia to go to sleep. She does not go to sleep on her own. She'll stay up for
hours.
Ever.
Oh, really?
She can't.
That's
she says
okay,
she can
though.
though. She's like right there behind us.
That's okay. So, what is it really like traveling with kids that age? Because they've kind of gone through a lot of stages in the last few years. That's a really big, the difference between a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old is like completely different. So what has that been like?
Well, as the primary driver, it's exercise in patience, and you really learn how small your child's bladder is. And in a in a pickup truck, you don't have a bathroom. You can't just walk to the back. And had a lot of frustration that I had to learn to deal with. But in general, so long as you're, before you go, you got to make sure the kids have eaten. Otherwise, you're going to pull out onto the interstate, and 5 seconds later, somebody's hungry. Somebody's got to go to the bathroom. So always plot out that, you're going to stop at the nearest Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or whatever. Just get it out of your mind that it's going to be a straight drive. Excuse me, my nose got irritated. But then, that's just one of the things.
Robert, preach. So true.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got to be prepared just to take care of them and breathe, because it's not going to go, the same way as when you were young on a road trip somewhere.
Yeah, and I think it's a whole different mentality when you're RVing full time versus, if you're just on a road trip and you're just trying to get someplace. Like, I mentioned last week, I went and saw my brother. He was coming from Michigan to Tennessee. I was coming from Florida. I took almost 48 hours to get there because I'm in that RV. I've been RVing, so I'm like, I'm just going to stop for the night after 5 hours. I stop like 5-6 times. Like I'm stopping once an hour. Oh, do you have to go to the bathroom? Oh, let's just stretch our legs, because I'm not used to that anymore. When you're towing or you're in a motorhome, it's so much more stressful to drive than just a car. And so I'm still in that mentality. My brother, he piles his kids. He's got 8 people in his caravan or whatever. And they made it there in like 10 hours. They got to Tennessee before me, and I left the day before. They were like, hey, where are you? I'm like, oh my gosh, I just stopped because I figured I was going to beat you. And I was like, I've got like 90 more minutes, bro. He's like, well, we're here. Hot tub is on. And I was like, oh my gosh, man. Get back in the car. Let's go. But yeah, it is so much more stressful. And when you have kids, you do have to make all those breaks, and it's a lifestyle. So you don't want to constantly be saying like, we're just going to get there. You want them to enjoy the journey too.
Yeah, but we have found when we've done the ones where it's like, okay, we're gonna stop and we're gonna take our time, and it just ends up in a disaster. Everyone just gets more tired and crankier. It makes that trip last forever. Where
Yeah.
we're like, we could have already been there. Why do we have to stop to see that weird roadside whatever it
We
was?
shouldn't have done it. Yeah, with our
bad idea.
Yeah, and again, it's what's good for your kids, what's good for you. With our kids, you know, if we're going somewhere, they just don't want to know anything until we're there. And then at that point, we'll all pile out, and they immediately want to get in the travel trailer. We're not like, no, I haven't set anything up yet. Wait. So then it's the flip side. So yeah, it's really being flexible, and that's the thing with kids and the way we school and unschool them is, you know, we try to be cognizant, you know, that yes, we're adults, yes, they're the children, but we try to make the effort to listen to their opinions and what their wants and needs are in this whole crazy RVing adventure that we have. I fail sometimes.
We all do. Every
Well,
now and then you're just like, are you serious? Can you we're done. Okay? Just yeah. Do me a solid and let's just get this thing done. Whatever it may be, whatever it is.
Yep, I get that. The Trekkers are being very rude right now, and they said, Liz, you drive like you host YouTube. You tend to wander. Well,
Pretty funny.
when you nail it, you nail it. Good job, Ari. Anyway, speaking of unschooling, tell us more about that. You know, what is it and what are the benefits, especially for RVers out there?
Sure. So unschooling does not mean that you don't do anything. Doesn't mean that you're anti-school or anti any of those things. What it means is that you actually follow your kids' interests and desires. So if you have a child that likes, I don't know, a space, you do everything in your power to get space things in front of them. I said him because it's him in our case. Daniel is very into space stuff. So we watch things, we go out, we look at the night sky late at night, and it also means that learning doesn't happen on our schedule. So sometimes all day goes by and, you know, we're looking at the kids, they're doing their own thing, and then all of a sudden, bam, all of a sudden we're in a 2-hour discovery on planets, what's going on, we have to break out books, Google, TV comes on, whatever. Sometimes this is happening at 10 o'clock at night.
Nadia and I were having a discussion yesterday spontaneously about why Pluto is a planet and why did it get demoted to dwarf planet status, but no, it's a planet, right, Nadia? That's right. So yeah, these things as they come up, we talk about it and discuss, and we've never sat down and said, all right, we're gonna learn it right now. We just talk about it. We expose them to it, and if this sticks, then we dig into it some more.
Yeah, so we just go with the flow. We go with whatever's happening. We'll go out somewhere, and if something is triggered while we're out, we'll like really dig into it. And then we go as long as the kids will go. As soon as we see them, like, you know, getting bored and whatever, we're done. Like, that's it.
We switch.
We switch gears. We just, you know, it gives them a lot of freedom to really find out what they really like and how they acquire knowledge, you know. We don't force, like, okay, well, you got to read this book, or, oh, we got to do these workbooks because otherwise you're not going to learn it. None of that stuff. We do have workbooks, and sometimes they do use them, and it's all based on them wanting to do it. We don't force any type of learning or anything on them because they're learning all the time with everything that's happening around them.
But I am human, and sometimes I do slide some piece of information in front of them to see, hey, what do you think of this? Do you want to know?
It's like a bait.
It's called like strewing, I think is the official like term. Like you just sort of like leave stuff out, like, oh, look, I found this astronomy thing. Isn't that interesting? Or like at night they'll go to sleep and maybe we'll leave out some stuff on the table in the morning that they'll find. That sort of stuff. But for the most part,
that's super smart. I mean, because some things aren't going to come up naturally, right? Like if you're in the desert and, you know, you want to teach your kids about the ocean or something, or you think they might be interested in it, you know, they're not going to just walk outside and see a lagoon or something. You might have to say, hey, I saw this the other day. Is that interesting? Like, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also, you know, if they have interest in any types of kid shows that actually go discuss, when you have a kid that's interested in what's with the Crack Brothers, Wild Kratts.
Well, crap.
Yeah, like shows like that. If you have two kids watching that TV show, they're going to learn more about animal biology in that half an hour than sitting in school with 30 other kids trying to pay attention to a teacher. So we really encourage them when they do want to watch an educational, fun show. Let's do it. Let's all watch as a family, and we learn so much together.
Yeah, and Daniel all the time, like, he was telling me about some, like, I don't know, he started telling me about ants. I just sat there for like an hour listening to him, and I'm like, where did you even... There's some guy on YouTube that has like he loves ants, he has all these ant colonies, and he's always like teaching on it. And we sat down and watched an episode, and I was like, holy crap, I knew none of this stuff about ants. None. I just was like, oh, look, an ant.
So learning like that, I mean, really, he's been listening to a specialist on ants.
That's
and
amazing.
Learn about that. So we don't discount the YouTube experience for kids if of course there's a lot of garbage on there, but we do know that we steer our kids to say, hey, when we see something objectionable or we're hearing something going off on YouTube and somebody's gone off 100% potty mouth, we're like, well, you might want to listen and watch somebody else, because
right.
Yeah, this is not appropriate, and they'll go ahead and change it. So
yeah, and I think that's a good opportunity to teach them about credibility and what makes a reliable source versus, just some guy on the internet.
Yes. Yeah. And also when it comes to things like language, for example, we don't go and put on some movie or TV show that's just spouting off, but the kids know all the bad words, and we told them, if you use this language in front of your other friends, well, their parents may not react so well, and you may not have a person to play with. So we also teach them responsibility over the words that they use. If they're at home and they want to say the whatever word, they can say it. We're not gonna stop them from it, but we will tell them that how it will affect us.
But that kind of goes along. Right. That's actually a little bit beyond like unschooling, because that becomes like parenting stuff. So that's actually radical unschooling, which we do as well, but I don't think we're gonna dig too deep in that for this episode. But still, just letting you know, there is a difference between unschooling and radical unschooling. Unschooling just has to do with education.
Okay.
The radical unschooling has to do with taking that concept of unschooling and applying it to every single aspect of life.
Right.
And parenting.
So it's like the difference between a weekend warrior and a full-time RVer.
I guess you could say that.
One of them is a true lifestyle change and integration.
Yeah.
Somebody does have a question. Just Keep RVing asks, when you unschool, do you still have to register your child with an online program? Does every state allow unschooling? Do you know anything about that?
Yes, unschooling is legal in every single state. The only thing is that you have to still make sure that you're complying to whatever laws and regulations. So instead of maybe having a box curriculum or whatever to meet requirements of a very strict kind of state that has very, very strict laws, you would just make sure that your activities, whatever they were, can fit into those categories. So I'm trying to think. Like taking a nature walk or something like that. You need to find a way, like create scavenger hunts or something like that, where the kids are writing stuff down, document everything that you see on there. If it led to additional studies, like after the walk, you went and watched a documentary, you Googled some stuff, you drew pictures or something like that. Like, just keep all that information and document it. And then right there, you can show them how deep you went into science that day and all the different topics that can go into how all that can fit into different subjects. As far as them being registered in an online program, that depends on
you, it depends on the state.
Yeah, like our kids we're Florida residents, so they're actually enrolled in an umbrella school. So there are those opportunities where you can enroll them into schools. Some of them can be online schools, or some of them can be like, that one's just an umbrella school and we just submit attendance quarterly, and with that the kids are good with Florida law. So it just depends on the state, but it is possible to unschool no matter where you are.
It's just one of those things that if you choose to unschool, or homeschool, you are taking a lot of that responsibility on yourself.
Right.
And you have to really educate yourself, because sometimes the law says one thing, and that's what a school district will focus on, whereas the law, wait, there's paragraph, subsection, that if you really want to do things your way, you have to become an expert and educate yourself on your particular state, or reach out to a homeschooling organization within the state that will tell you exactly what you actually have to do and what you don't have to do. So it's a matter of personal responsibility, if you are going to do this, to educate yourself first.
Yeah, and there's you can get yearly evaluations also from a certified evaluator, and you can find an unschooling friendly one. So we have one in Florida as well, just in case we need an extra piece of paper for somebody to look at that understands how we unschool, respects it, and will sit down and talk to the kids and document things that way without having to see workbooks and curriculum and grades and tests and all those things.
Yeah,
so,
because bureaucrats love them some paperwork.
Yeah, so we have lots of pieces of paper to show if needed.
I think we can all relate to the American bureaucracy paperwork discussion there, Robert. But yeah, that's great. I didn't know some of those things that you guys just said about, specialists and getting, your ducks in order and everything. So thank you so much. And yeah, where the roads may go, she says each state has their different laws. Her kids are homeschooled under California laws, and they can unschool they're enrolled, I think, in something, but they don't have to do the online stuff unless they choose to.
Okay.
We also have a really great question here from the same person. This is someone that, yes, is unschooling. I've met her. They've been on the road a while. She says, how do you let go of things like grammar and math? Man, that's my struggle. I do some student-led learning, but make them do some grammar and math because ... Do you
want to take it? Or?
This is a stress point for me as well, because it's a matter of I had a good experience going through high school, elementary school, whatever, in the regular system, and one of the things that I find to, first off, put my mind at ease is, here I am in my 40s in a professional career with really pretty big responsibilities, and the extent of the mathematics that I use on a daily basis is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So the kids, when it comes to their learning of, say, mathematics, a lot of it comes down to money. We do give them an allowance. Whenever we have a payday, they get a payday, and whenever they're going to buy something, we are very clear as to just how much money they have to spend. Yeah. And when it comes to a matter of a deficit that they start to run, if their allowance is $20 and the toys they want are $25, $26, we go into, all right, Dad is going to go ahead and lend you this extra money that's going to come out of your next allowance. So we do math that way, and they're learning the basics about arithmetic, and then we are slowly going into multiplication. Like with Daniel, I started doing the classic multiplication table. We have to get back to it, but we drew out the graph, and we wrote the numbers 1 through 12 on top, 1 through 12 on the bottom, and we started doing the boxes to fill in the multiplication of it. So that's one big thing. Grammar, a lot of the time, how do they learn how to read?
They learned it pretty much on their own. We did read with them. There is that meme that says, like, hey, if you're concerned about your kids watching too much TV, turn on the subtitles and they're reading. Really, we did that, and they did. I mean, it's
That's
a great
actually
way
really
to
smart.
learn.
I never thought about that.
Yeah,
I
like it's a great.
a story.
She learned from a story, and they learned because they wanted to play video games and stuff, and they have to read to play a lot of video games. So it just kind of happened as everyday life, like things that they were interested in and that they wanted to do, and they understood the importance of it. They saw us reading, and they were seeing that they weren't going to be getting very far without learning how to read.
Yeah, we go to bookstores, and they'll pick out a book, and I will be frustrated and horrified by the ridiculousness of the given book, but it's what they want, and it's what they're going to read. And so Nadia, I can tell you, we never spent a single day with her saying, all right, let's go read this book and learn how to read these words. She picked it up on her own because of her child-driven interest. And that is how so much of our learning happens, is once they have that interest, we're going for it. And now with Nadia, when she's trying to write something to somebody that she's playing with online, she will ask us how to spell things. And we will work with her on spelling so that her spelling can get done right. And so much more beyond that is anytime she wants to do art, we give her all the art supplies she can muster. Even if she dumps all the paint onto the canvas and I start to lose control.
Unrelated. That's unrelated.
That's my issue.
No, as far as grammar, we
really... Do your thing, babe. I'm not going to look till it's done, though.
For grammar, though, we don't really worry too much about it because they're reading, and in reading, they're seeing proper sentence structures. If you ask me a bunch of information about grammar, I don't know.
I don't know it.
And I went through all this stuff. I went through college, whatever. I don't know. Guess what, though? I'm still able to communicate, and that's the most important part. And even when I send out some really important emails for work, whether it's my job that I do or exploring the local life, I spend longer time. I look over it. I read it several times. I may have Robert look over it or something like that to make sure it's professional enough. But for the most part, I think the biggest thing is to be able to communicate. And our kids are able to do that. So.
Yeah, and it also comes back to Daniel and Nadia have two teachers that whenever they engage us, we are engaged directly with them, as opposed to one overworked, underpaid person at the front of a classroom with 20 kids that half of them aren't paying attention. You have two that are always on top of things, that are really good at following directions, and everybody else has mixed levels of what they have going on, and some will never ask a question because it petrifies them. So, so while we don't have that formalized structure, we're not making sentence diagrams with the post-perfect participle.
Nobody would know the next thing.
We have these phones where we can ask any question about anything, including grammar, right here, and answer those questions for our kids or help them figure it out. Or they can look it up themselves, too.
We have the technology. So what I'm getting from all that is that you just have faith that the skills are going to come. You have faith in your children, that between the two of you, you're going to be able to, help them figure it out, and they'll be able to communicate effectively. And I just want to say, I have my master's degree in education. I spent many years studying children and spending hours and hours in classrooms. I've probably worked with thousands of kids. And I think if the child is really interested in grammar, I think that, yes, you should have faith that, whatever they need to learn, they're going to learn. And if the child is very interested in grammar, they will know. I remember diagramming sentences in 7th grade, and let me tell you, I loved it. Oh my gosh, I love that stuff. I love it. But I hate math, and that took me many years to understand. And I think it was because it was just happening too fast for me. I was very, in 3rd grade, I read at a 12th grade high school reading level, but my math, who knows? I don't know, because they didn't test me on that because I wasn't good at it. They didn't care to know. I was passing. But I think when it comes to grammar and math, I think money is a great way to get them going, grocery shopping, budgeting, things like that. And as they become more interested, then just like Jessica and Robert said, you leave that thing on the table for them to find, to discover algebra, right? If they like diagramming sentences, you print some stuff for diagramming sentences. I was weird.
Liz and say, "Hey, Liz."
Is that shocking? Is that shocking, guys, that I like to diagram sentences? I don't think it is.
I don't know.
But yeah, I think you just have faith, and as things will present themselves as needed. So we do have one other question, and this is kind of a good segue. The Trekkers are asking, do you see a time when your kids reach a level you won't be able to keep up as their teachers?
Maybe. And we're totally open even now. finding experts in whatever their interests are. And that may be just looking on Google or watching a documentary or something, but it may be like GeoAstro RV, they do astronomy stuff. Like if there's going to be any question that Daniel has that we cannot answer, we know who to call. Like, yeah, we are definitely open and willing to, as the need arises, to find experts in whatever field.
Yeah, and if it comes to a point that the kids are at a level that they decide, hey, I'm not getting what I need, or Dad, I would really like to go to regular school, we're going to stop and figure out a way to make it happen for them. Because if they're expressing that interest, they feel that's the best course of action for them, and it makes logical sense. Yeah, we'll go ahead and park it and figure out how to get them into a regular school. Yeah, we're not bound to us, because then, part of the philosophy of unschooling and child-led learning is, what is their need? How do we meet their need? And if we decide, oh, no, we're going to figure this out for you, we're not acting on their behalf. We're just acting on our behalf. Yeah. And that's not what we're trying to do here.
I love that you said that, because, one of your children might be, like, very mathematically inclined, and they might want to go to school and learn calculus 2, statistics, and, like, literally sit down and do that for hours.
Yeah, right now Daniel's actually sort of teaching us coding.
Oh, that's really cool.
We get onto khanacademy.org, which is a free, kindergarten through college courses. And he wanted to do a little. I showed him a few things. Do you want to look at biology? Do you want to look at science? Do you want to look at coding? And he said, no, let's look at the coding. And so he's learning how to make happy circles that go shooting off into space, different sizes, positioning on screens.
That's awesome.
I'm there to help him.
Me too.
And I'm trying to help him, and he's like, no, Dad, that doesn't work. You got to go over here. I'm like, no, let me try it. Daniel, I'm going to be wrong. Let me try to be wrong. I want to be wrong. And I'm wrong. Yeah, then he goes through it. We talk it over. We look at the instructions, the placement, where things need to. And so he is coding and showing us. Teaching us. And he's got the retention because he's interested in it.
Yeah.
I keep the retention because I'm not interested in it so much. So it's amazing how the kids can teach us.
That's super awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, coding is so popular with kids, right? They are growing up with computers, phones, the internet. So of course they are, I feel like naturally interested in wanting to know how it works.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. For example, they play Roblox a lot. And in the last 3 years, Daniel goes back to a game that he started playing 3 years ago, and now how it's changed so entirely and completely. And I told him, there's folks that started that game that revise it and they code. They have more technology, more time to invest in it. And so that sticks in his mind that this game that was pretty blocky and boring 3 years ago is now super fun and so rich and developed. And that's all because somebody was coding. Okay.
I love those connections. I love that so much. The Trekkers say that's nice to hear. They're so great about putting their kids first and letting them lead the way with proper guidance. Love that. So they like your answer. And yeah, Heidi says coding is a language. Kids pick it up so easily. That's so true. Yeah. That is so true. And we've got a couple more people joining us. Hello. So last question here I think I'll ask is, you talked a lot about unschooling. What kind of characteristics or, who is unschooling for? Who do you think could do it?
What do you mean? Kids or like adults or
parents? Parents. Like what kind of characteristics should you have or should you try to develop when you're looking into going into unschooling?
Patience.
Well, I think you should look at yourself as well and think of some of the things since college or high school or whatever, what you've learned since then. Where have you gone? Where have your interests taken you without anybody necessarily saying you have to learn this? And think of like your kids as this open book of creativity and desires and excitement, and know that they'll do the same thing, that they'll like you have, they have that ability as well, maybe even more so than you. And I really think that anybody, any adult, any parent can do it. They just have to let go of that fear. And Nadia is totally distracting me back there. because she's like breathing on the glass and then drawing, I think.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost done, sweetheart.
So I totally got distracted there, but hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Johnny says, forced learning really doesn't work too well. That's so true. You can commit something to rote memory, right? You have to do your times tables, things like that. But most of that stuff just, you memorize it for one thing and then you let it go because you can. But Nadia's going a little stir crazy, but that's okay. She has been an awesome addition to this episode, I think. It'll keep people engaged. You know how, everybody's got ADD or something nowadays. You can't just watch something online because it becomes
Right.
boring. Somebody's watching this, but they're also emailing. When they hear the they'll come back. So it's good for views. Thanks, Nadia. Mwah.
She's totally in her own world. She's so funny.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let you go. Tell us where we can find you.
Sure. So we're on pretty much every social media platform ever. We're on YouTube as Exploring the Local Life. We're on Instagram as Exploring the Local Life. Facebook, Exploring the Local Life. We're also on Twitter. That's like Explore without an E, the Local Life. I don't know what happened there. And on Pinterest, we're our Mindhopper. I don't know what happened there either. But we're on all those places.
Yeah, so our website, www.exploringthelocal.life.com. We try to put a blog post up every week, and on YouTube we try to do 2 videos a week. And if we can't do a prepared video, we try to do a live. So,
yeah,
good stuff.
Their lives are so fun, you guys. If you ever if you follow them on YouTube or Facebook, they do them often on there. And they're just really fun. They're like this, like the kids in the background. They're just keeping it real. But
So
what
it's
I like
it's
about
a 2-drink minimum.
2-drink minimum.
Yeah. Is H2O count?
Yes, it does.
I'm trying not to consume too many calories. I'm going to San Diego in 6 weeks. I want to look nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Heidi says she's following you now on Instagram. Barb says, thank you guys for answering those questions about unschooling. And I love that you guys have such a passion for it. So, yeah, if you guys have other questions, I'm sure you could hit them up, on their YouTube channel or Facebook, or email them, and they're willing to answer. I know I've learned, literally for hours this year, just listen to them talk about unschooling. So, thank you guys so much for coming on tonight. I hope you have a great night. Thanks.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
All right, bye. All right, yeah, Johnny says, what, no game? Yeah, we were going to do, like a Would You Rather Kids Edition, but I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been trying to come up with games other than Would You Rather, because I feel like I've played that a lot. So if you guys have any suggestions on new segments for the show, if you want me to bring back the virtual spotlight, I've been thinking of doing it more like a radio show where I have you guys call in and we play games that way. What do you guys think about that? In the comments right now, or, email me, liz@thevirtualcampground.com. I'd really like some feedback on the show. This marks the end of month 4 for doing the show. I think I've skipped 2 weeks, but I've been doing it every week this year, which is the most consistent I've been with content, I think, ever. But I really want this show to grow. I want the YouTube to grow. I want the virtual campground to grow. And I really want to make it more fun and community-based and get everyone watching involved too. But I've been struggling with, how to do that when my guests or my audience isn't right here with me. So if you guys have any suggestions, or if you remember a game we played, or, something that happened in the show that you thought, wow, that was hilarious, or that was so fun, I loved watching it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please email me. Even if you just email me and say, I like this about the show, I don't like this about the show. Honestly, I've got a thick skin and I really want to make this the best I can for you guys, so let me know. I look forward to hearing your guys' opinions. And next week we have got a really legendary member of the virtual campground, someone who's been with me for years. Her name is Melissa, and she runs a blog that she's been building for a couple years now, or well, actually only about a year, called The Cultivated Journey, and eat fresh, be local, travel often. And it's all about finding local fresh food while you travel. And I just really like her. She was part of Full-Time Freedom Week. She actually found Full-Time Freedom Week and then hit the road a few months later and then started her blog. So I'm super excited to bring her on. She'll be coming on next week, and we'll be talking about food, how to find it, how to cook in your small place. Maybe I can get her to cook while we're on the show. Would that be fun? Maybe I can get her to send me some recipes, and I can eat them while we're on the show. I don't know, something fun. You guys give me ideas, please. I don't know, maybe I'm just tired or it's getting too hot in Florida. I feel like my brain is fried. But I would love your guys' opinion on the show, how to make it better. So just email me, liz@thevirtualcampground.com. You could do that right now. All right. Love you guys. Bye.